Hello and welcome to another episode of Film Freaks with a Z, the podcast all about movies. Each episode is about a particular movie, which we'll get to in a little bit. But first, it's time once again for the fan vote to happen. Of course, this is the part of the show where you vote on what movie you want us to talk about next, based on the fan recommendations that we've gotten over the years. That's right, I can say years.
Wow.
So the movies that you can select for this vote are The Fifth Element, which was recommended by Topos, The Terminator, which was recommended by Lucy, Multiplicity, which was recommended by Mastech Gaming, and Hard Boiled, which was recommended by Antiskew. If you want to hear us talk about any of those movies, make sure you go vote on them in the Discord. Link in the description. We are only doing votes in the Discord from now on. Yeah, make sure you go vote. The poll will be up throughout the entire weekend of this episode's release. So make sure you check that out. Let's go ahead and introduce ourselves. Before we talk about the movie, I am Yemmy the Ferret, and I'm here with...
Gritty Waffles.
Taymation.
Ray of positivity.
How are we all doing this evening?
Well,
Alright.
I'm hot.
Yeah, you
I
are.
hear that.
Oh. No, but like temperature wise. But now running errands, and it's not a cool day. It's never a cool day in the summer. I guess kind of cooler than normal. Like I think it was only up to 108 while we were out there.
Only.
Only, yeah. It didn't break 110. That's pretty good.
That's a W.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't know. It still sounds like an L to me.
Yeah, no, it's still an L, definitely an L.
It's like, it gets up to like 85 here, and I'm like, fuck this.
Yep.
Oh, I would take 85 in a minute. I mean, yeah. I mean, there was times in the summer back in the day when we didn't have necessarily the budget that our house was at 85, like
Yikes.
inside, and you're just like, hey, this is nicer than outside.
Yeah.
Oh.
Sounds like total suckage to me.
It is for sure.
I think we've all been through that time where we don't have air conditioning and it's sweltering outside.
Yep. I had that a couple years ago. My AC went out and it was 93 upstairs and I was
Woo.
starting to hallucinate and I was like, you know what? I'm gonna go stay at my parents' house tonight.
Yeah, when I first moved into my old condo, there was an AC on the first floor, but the second floor had no AC. And of course,
Wow, the heat goes.
the heat all goes upstairs. So eventually I got a portable AC unit, but yeah, it was horrible the first like year or so.
Yeah, that sounds bad.
Mm.
I mean, no AC here. You would probably just die.
Simply pass away.
Yeah.
Melt.
Yeah, it would not be good. Not be good. Okay, you probably want to die. All right, fine.
Just going to heat stroke, that's all.
My wife in the other room is like, no, you would die. Okay. Yes, you would. She knows more than me.
Well, speaking of people knowing more than me,
Oh, good segue.
Tay, why don't you introduce the movie for us?
The movie I picked was Arrival from 2016, directed by Denis Villeneuve.
Villeneuve. Yeah.
Villeneuve. We had the same thing last time I said this name wrong. Taking place after alien crafts land around the world, an expert linguist is recruited by the military to determine whether they come in peace or are a threat.
The
It
way
stars
the way that you said that was kind of weird. Taking place after Alien crafts. This does not take place after Alien, folks.
No, alien crafts. Yeah, in my brain, it went to the taking place after Alien, the movie, which technically it does. I'm sure Alien the movie is a movie in this universe, so
Yeah.
I stand by my statement.
Okay.
Anyways, it stars Amy Adams, Jeremy Renner, Forrest Whitaker, and a bunch of other people. That you wouldn't recognize their names if I said them, because I don't. And yeah, that's everything. So let's start the discussion. I have a few things I like want to discuss, but like they happen later in the movie, so I'm like, well, I should save them.
The usual.
Yeah, that's how I usually go. So we'll start with what do you guys think of the soundtrack? Like, did you notice it? Because like I actually really liked the soundtrack. I thought it was really good and fitting for the movie.
I thought it was too.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's good.
I was like, but I don't know if like because there's sometimes soundtracks. Some of us are like, oh yeah, it was so good, and the rest of us are like, I didn't notice it. Like it wasn't bad, but I didn't notice it. But I really liked the soundtrack for this movie.
Yeah. There's like ambiance with it a little bit. I don't know. It made you feel,
Yeah.
which, holy
Well-
shit.
Yeah,
I
it wasn't
almost
as-
cried in the beginning.
Right? I know the beginning of this movie is very like up beginning, and Pixar's up.
Ugh.
Oh
where
yeah,
you
yeah. I see what you mean. It's very
Yeah,
up.
or it's just,
It's very
oh,
up.
here's this mom and her daughter. Oh, her daughter died.
Yeah, I thought the soundtrack wasn't like as grandiose as something like 2001: A Space Odyssey, but it definitely fit
no.
the movie.
Yeah, no, I would definitely agree. It's not grandiose, but it's just like it's noticeable though. It's not like something. It's not like a Marvel movie where most of the time you don't notice the
Yeah.
music.
It was very gray, which like matched the movie perfectly, in my
Yeah.
opinion.
It's a very gray movie.
You think the
Like,
color
you're
gray
feeling-
and you hear
yeah.
this music.
Yeah. If someone said describe the color gray, you would say, "Well, have you ever seen the film Arrival from 2016?"
I'd be like, listen,
Oh,
sit
that's
down.
That's what gray is. Okay.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah. But yeah, it's great. That it's perfect. It's just it's like the movie. Like the movie has color. Like you don't watch the movie and go, "It's a gray movie." It gives you the feeling of gray.
Yeah.
I mean, there's some gray scenes for sure. Like when they're on the spacecraft, it's very just gray.
Yeah.
I see what you mean.
Yeah. I see that. I see that. Well, any other is that it? We're good? Final thoughts?
Final thoughts? No.
The CG in this movie was the aliens looked fine, and it wasn't until like there was that scene where like they CGI'd her hair to make it flowy, and it looked
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
bad.
That didn't look too good.
In the smoke, yeah.
It's annoying because like that's when I was like the most invested in the movie, and then I'm just being distracted with this like
Yes.
wavy CG hair, and I'm like, oh, you're taking me out of it, movie.
Right? It's like just let her hair just be normal. It doesn't need to be all wavy. It would look so much better. Like I get what you're going for. You want it to be like, oh, gravity's kind of weird here, and all this stuff. But it's like, no, it just like that wasn't even good for 2016.
No.
No, not at all. I mean that it's almost not even better than like the Aquaman movies with Jason Momoa. Like
Oh
the
yeah.
hair in those movies are all CG, but it looks, I guess, it kind of probably looked the same, really. Now that I
Yeah.
think about it, it's been a while
it
since I
looks-
saw the first Aquaman.
Yeah, it looked like hair from an Xbox 360 game.
Sure, yeah.
It wasn't good. And yeah, that's like it's like I said, it's the moment like where you really kind of like, okay, where's this going? What's going on? And then it just means just shitty hair. And you're like, oh
Yeah. It's like that's very distracting.
yeah, yeah, it was.
Yeah, that's the moment where I was the most like I had reached like a downward, like I wasn't as invested when like they were doing the whole bomb plot, and then it once the bomb went off and she went back and got into that little pod, I was like, I'm back, I'm back, baby. And then
Right.
of course on that high of being like this is getting so interesting, what the hell are they going to do? That CG hair is just so distracting. I couldn't even really pay attention to what they were saying.
Yeah.
Or
Yeah.
doing. Like, well, kind of saying. Kind of both.
Yeah. A little bit of both. Agreed. Yeah. Yeah, those are definitely the two down points. Definitely. Like the whole bomb threat thing. Like I kind of get what they were going for,
Oh, I mean, it's
but
plain and clear what they were going for. They're going for
yeah,
Alex
okay, yeah, it was.
Jones fear mongering.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And it's like,
As soon as they introduced that character, I'm like, oh god, this guy who's watching it's gonna be doing
yeah,
something, and of course,
which is it's just
um,
so cause like he
he's
has like
there.
firsthand knowledge, yeah, of what is going on.
Like
He
he's
would
not
be
the
the least,
demographic for this YouTube guy,
yeah. It would have been better if like it would have made more sense if some people had snuck on and like were able to get up there or something like.
Or some
But
people who
just
weren't up there in general, like just on the base, they don't know exactly what's
yeah.
going on, but they're there to like, I don't know, guard or whatever, right?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like most of the people on the base kind of knew because like they're recording this whole thing. I'm sure they're all watching these videos.
Maybe, I don't know. It might be a
Yeah,
need to know basis. Who knows?
yeah, it's true. Maybe. I mean, they didn't even show Rhett, Amy and Jeremy their characters what they're going to see before they go up there. They just went, "You're going up."
Yeah. But yeah, it was just like it just seems so forced in my opinion, like having that a whole sequence happen. And it was like during the part where I was like, I wanted to see more of like, okay, how are they interpreting this language? How are they growing in understanding? Because there was a
Yeah,
pretty high, it was ramping up pretty well, and to have that bomb go off, it just really derailed the entire thing for me for about like 5 to 10 minutes before it got back and started to become interesting again. And it all stems from just kind of like that spot where it's like this is the guy who was there. He was there in the room for every single session. How is
yeah.
he the one leading the bomb charge? It makes no sense.
It doesn't. It really doesn't. Yeah, I would like to because I feel like they kind of just glazed over like them figuring out the language.
Yeah, that was
They
that
were,
was kind of annoying for me too. All of a sudden
yeah.
they're like,
Yeah.
"Well, this means this. This is how they think." And it's like
Yeah.
that's all cool, but could we see like her coming to that realization a bit clearer, or
Right?
having them work together to solve the enigma that is the language? Yeah,
It was so late in the movie too. I'm like, what? What?
Yeah.
Yeah. And I still don't know what Jeremy Renner's team was supposed to be doing, or I guess Ian's team was doing. Like she had the bigger team. They're trying to figure out this language. Cool. So what is he? I guess math stuff. I don't know. It seemed weird.
well, yeah, he did. He helped with that one thing with the spacing, and he got like all the numbers together for that.
That's true. He did. He did. That's right. He did figure out that it was a piece of the puzzle. But,
Yeah. To me, like going back to like them it taking too long, it was just like too many scenes of like they're in there with the alien and they're doing their little circle thing. It's just like, okay, we get it. They keep doing it, but what does it mean? And it just like, oh boy, it's the same thing again and then again. And then finally they switch it up with them, getting pushed back into, I guess, nothingness. I don't know. But it just seemed like one too many times where scene was just the same of the aliens doing little circles. I was like, okay, cool.
yeah. Well, like I said, I feel like that would have paid off better if, again, we had actually seen them figuring out the language and not just kind of glaze over of like, oh yeah, we understand it now.
Yeah, because they were, building up to more things like the first interaction.
Yeah.
They couldn't really get anywhere. The second interaction, they got out the whiteboard and they had a visual aid, which is how they learned that they have a written language. And then the next one was starting to teach them like, hey, he's Ian, I'm me. Lauren, what's her name? Louise. What a name. And I like that progression of like getting little bits closer to understanding each other. It's just I personally wanted to see more of that. Like Grady was annoyed by that. I actually wanted to see more of like the build up to cracking the case. I
I
wanted
wasn't
to see
annoyed
more
by
of
that.
the
I was just
pieces in
the same
between.
scene happening.
Yeah,
Well, it wasn't
they
the
weren't.
same scene. I mean, there was different things happening. Like even though they focused in on the circle being made. I mean, there were still other things going on with the interaction. Like Ian walks, and then they're walking together, and the little guy does the circle. Yeah, like I guess I just disagree that like they show the aliens do a little circle thing too many times. Yeah, I think it.
Yeah.
I honestly wanted to see more of like them piecing it together with the circles. Like we need to see more of that to fully understand how the language works before they just kind of are like, and here's how it works.
Yeah.
Which is cool how it works in the end. Like it is cool how they have the little circle thing and it's almost like a I don't know. It's almost like Japanese where like the different slash marks mean different
The
things,
characters,
right?
yeah.
But
I
it would be
like
cool to see it more formed.
Yeah, and I like that we see, he talks about like there's a little narration that it like basically they start the sentence, they would it'd be the same as like starting the sentence on both ends with two, your both hands and writing inward and like just knowing exactly what you're going to write and everything.
Yeah. Which is kind of the theme of the movie.
Yeah. There are no beginnings or ends necessarily. Also, I want to see how humanity is going to save them in like 3,000 years.
Right.
That's the sequel we need. Departure, and it's Earth departing to save the heptapods.
Well, maybe the heptapods are us in the distant future.
Ooh, maybe. Why did we turn into big old things?
I don't know.
Evolution's weird.
Our consciousness went so far. I don't know.
So I guess we can kind of talk about the in quotes twist. It wasn't really a twist.
Well,
I mean, it's kind of a twist.
Before we get to that, what did y'all think of
Okay.
the alien design itself?
Aw,
think
you
that's-
guys made me ink.
I don't mind it. I think it's pretty cool. Especially when you finally get to see like their whole body when she's talking to after she takes the pot up, and they just got like a big old head with a knob.
I kind of like
Yeah.
the idea of them just kind of being those like octopus things, like shorter, not shorter, but smaller. I wasn't totally on board with the giant, like I don't know if you've ever seen Mass Effect Reaper sized head. Like I don't know if I need all that. Like I was kind of fine with them just kind of being like sort of octopus like.
Yeah, they were.
Well, then they have like the giant, like I guess it's more of like a giant squid head. I kind of
Yeah.
I in my head I was envisioning them being a lot like shorter, I guess, and I think it would have. I honestly, for me, that the alien design would have worked better if they were half that size, like the top part of them.
See, I always look at them like they just like, especially like the design they did. I mean, they look like knuckles, on a hand. So it looks like they're just hands.
Yeah.
And like I just picture like as it starts panning upward and you see the head, I'm just like picturing just an arm. It's just an arm of like an actual giant, and he's just like, it's just there weren't two of them. It's just me. It's just me with my hands.
Yeah.
I just had 7 fingers. That's not weird. And each finger can split into tinier fingers.
And can
I
ink.
like. Yeah, and he can ink. I like that idea. I like. It would have been great if it had just been a big giant guy. This guy sitting there like, "Hi, these are my hands.
Oh my gosh.
You've been talking to my hands this whole time."
Get pranked. Yeah, all in all, I didn't mind the design. I just have a small criticism about the giant top half.
Noggin. Yeah, which is fair. Like it does look weird. Like it does go further up than I was expecting. Where it's just like, oh, and I've seen this movie before, and I had forgotten. It's like, oh, it just keeps going. Just keeps going and looks kind of like their spaceship now that I'm looking at it.
Kinda, yeah, you're right.
What'd you think of the spaceship design?
I thought it was cool.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
like
me
how it
too.
stood up and then some reason just went sideways, but
Yeah.
Do whatever it wants.
Yeah, I
Does
like.
it even really hear? Because it like just evaporates into mist.
Yeah, that's the part that I didn't really understand towards the end there. They just kind of evaporate. I don't know if it's just like a time paradox or what. I don't know.
Yeah.
But I like the design of the ship itself. It seems like they all kind of fit together in like a circle almost.
Oh yeah.
I wonder if like the main base of operation would be like maybe like an oval type shape that they all slot into. I don't know.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
Yeah, that would be cool.
That would have made more sense than them disappearing.
Yeah, I don't know. Was that I guess they didn't really explain that. I don't know if there's any side lore that would explain it either. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't either.
Like I said, the best thing I can think of is that there was some sort of time paradox that caused them to evaporate. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, like I said, my thought is, they weren't really here the whole time. That they were projections of kind of like their language. Their or I guess their writing. How it's just mist that comes from their hands. So turns out just there's another ship somewhere else that it just went. Psst. Now you have ships. I don't know.
well, there was more than just one, so
Yeah, that's true. There's 12.
I guess another thing that they kind of left hanging was why they were in the places that they were in.
yeah.
Like they
were-
tried,
Yeah.
they kind of started to explain a little bit, but then they're like, well, we don't know for sure though, because there's always the odd one out or the odd two out. Like they all match this pattern except for this one, so
Oh.
they just kind of gave up. They're like, well, I
Yeah.
guess it doesn't really matter in the end.
Yeah, I was saying, I don't know if it was necessarily important. They just
I mean,
They
the one was just
probably-
out in the middle of the ocean. It's like, that must have been hell for the Chinese. I think was the one in the middle of the ocean. Like their scientists, like that had to be
Yeah.
hell.
Yeah, I wonder if they since they kind of see into there is no past or present or future. It's just they know everything. It probably landed where it made the most sense to get the people they needed to talk to.
I suppose so.
That's why the Chinese probably got started war with them. They're like, you know what? You're not even on land. Come on. Or yeah, that was Chinese that started the war with them. Or
They were about to, yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. And everyone else was following suit.
Well, not everybody, but Sudan, Russia.
I mean,
Pakistan.
the U.S. was pulling up tanks at the end of that
Yeah.
too.
That's true. Just in case. I mean, it is America. Those tanks were probably there the whole time.
Yeah, probably.
I do like the side that throughout this movie, they showed like Americans, like, or not just Americans, I guess throughout the whole world, like, almost kind of like purge, like, they're rioting, they're, looting stuff and stuff, like all that. I did like that side because people probably would do that.
Yeah. And I gotta say, I feel like especially towards the beginning of the movie, like I was drawing comparisons to Independence Day. And I was like, this is like all our complaints about Independence Day about too many characters, scenes that dragged on, like in the beginning. I feel like this, like, did it better in a lot of ways, where it's just like we're following one character at first. We're kind of seeing these ships arrive, and you just get news clips of like people, like worshiping him or praising them or rioting, instead of just random scenes that last way too long and kill people off, kind of thing. So I don't know. That's how I felt. I don't know how you guys felt, but
No, I feel the same way. I thought that focusing on one character did wonders for the plot of the movie.
yeah,
You don't have to keep track of 50 characters. There's 3 pretty main characters being fucking Louise, Ian, and Colonel Weber, really. So
Yeah.
it's much easier to keep track of everything going on, and also you get the perspective of mostly Louise in doing her thing, which is obviously feeds into the rest of the plot of the movie. But yeah, I thought that if it was Independence Day level of like 15 characters, it definitely wouldn't have worked at all.
For sure.
Like, hey, here's the Chinese guy, here's the Pakistani guy, here's the Russian scientist. If we had to bounce between every single scientist, that would have been so ridiculous.
Oh God. And that's basically what Independence Day did.
Well, yeah. all those, movies like Independence Day, the Day After Tomorrow stuff. They always seem to throw in as many characters as they possibly can for no reason other than to just cast a wide net of different personalities.
Yeah. Well, I feel like it's
Everyone
also
will love this because everyone's in it. Hooray!
Well, I feel like they also do that to like kind of give you the different perspectives, like during a disaster. But the fact that all the stories eventually just come, like, what's the word? My brain just died. It exploded from the heat. When they all come together, it's like, well, now I don't get all these different perspectives. They're all together.
Yeah. Kind of like the end of Independence Day, where they're all just there. It's like, well, I
Yeah.
don't know. I guess we didn't need all these characters after all.
Right? Yeah. Like if they were each individual stories of dealing with this different, this disaster, worldwide disaster, like that'd be interesting. Like this, they don't necessarily connect, but you just go, oh, that's how India dealt with it. That's how Russia dealt with it. That's how the U.S. dealt with it. Like,
Yeah, I could easily see them doing like a limited series where it's like each episode focuses on a different nation trying to figure out what the aliens are here for, right?
yeah,
I think that would have been really cool, and maybe they'll greenlight that sometime. But I feel like it's been so long since this movie came out. I mean, it's been what 6 years,
8 years.
8 years. I can't do math, you know that. I feel like at this point, I don't know if anyone would be interested in that who saw the movie in 2016, because this movie kind of came and went. Like, yeah, it was pretty big when it came out. I think a lot of people were talking about it, but since then, don't really hear too much about it anymore.
For sure.
Yeah, it has an Oscar, so.
Wow,
Well,
it has an Oscar for that year, huh? That doesn't necessarily mean that's going to be like remembered. Like, there's plenty of movies that won movie of the year that. I mean, who remembers Green Book? Raise your hand. Like, no one. No one's gonna raise their hand because it's like, well, what the fuck's Green Book? It's like, well, it won best in show like 5 or 6 years ago.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, yeah, that's dumb. I mean, look at the first Avatar. It won tons of awards, but it's just like, yeah, everyone saw it once, maybe twice, and went, oh, okay, I'm done.
Well, they were done until they built the theme park, and then they did the second movie. See, that's the thing, though. Avatar is definitely different because people were waiting for that next movie since that first one. There were people who were so upset that they can't live in the world of Avatar that they ended their lives. It's like ridiculous. I think that it's a bit different than Arrival. Like, no one's going, oh, I wish aliens would come so bad. I can't take it anymore.
There are people doing that, though. Not necessarily because of Arrival, just because that's their personality.
Right. Yeah. Well, I think a good touch in this movie was like the cult that set fire to their building or whatever at the beginning, because they're like, oh, the aliens coming were, prophesize and whatever in their little cult. I thought that was a little like nice little nugget there, because like, yeah, that definitely, and a lot of like go back to the riots and stuff. Yeah, sure, I believe that a lot of people would start rioting and looting because it's like, well, it could be the end of the world, so why not? You know.
Well, especially since the U.S. wasn't actually, or like none of the places were actually like telling people about what was going on.
Yeah, just the ships came and.
Yeah, it's like, we're dealing with it. You're fine.
I mean, I would hope that we're more put together as a society that we wouldn't do that stuff, but in the back of my mind, I know, like, yeah.
Oh, yeah, that's totally what we would do.
That's definitely what we would do. And yeah, which would make more sense for like people to like break that line of army vans protecting the site and like
Yeah.
try and plant the explosives themselves, like instead of something
Exactly.
internally, or maybe have someone who's internally there who was watching the YouTube video that we don't know, or we just see a glance, they let them in or whatever. It's
Yeah.
goes
Something.
kind of loops back around there.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, these guys, the main reason they came here is to make sure that all the world governments started working together so that we could advance and become, good enough to go save them in 3,000 years.
Yeah, it's funny. It just seems so sudden when everyone was turning off their monitors, their live feeds.
Oh, yeah.
I thought that was a little bit silly. Yeah, it was just a little bit silly that they all just were like, and we're done. Everyone was just done.
Yeah.
Banned. You're all banned from my Discord.
No.
Yeah, I mean, I like this movie a lot, but there were just some moments where I just thought were a little bit silly. One being her hair, obviously.
Yeah.
2 being the bomb, and 3 being everyone just, all the countries just shutting off their live feeds for seemingly no reason.
Yeah. I mean, there was kind of a reason, but it didn't make sense for like the Allies. They would keep working together.
Yeah, they kept showing the Australia guy like that entire time. And
Yeah.
like halfway through the movie, he turns off his feed and he never returns. Like, you never see him again. Like, what happened to the Aussie? Ah, mate, just going to go punch a kangaroo.
Exactly.
I didn't know what was going on. I just, yeah, I was just getting some didgeridoos out of you, mate.
Well, what do you two silent folk think?
Of his accent,
Oh.
not great. No, I'm just kidding.
Not his accent. That goes without saying.
Uh-huh.
You guys have just been kind of quiet.
I haven't
know,
been
what?
silent. I mean, I've been talking.
I didn't say silent.
true.
I said quiet.
Same thing.
It seems like Tay and I are the passionate ones about Arrival.
Yeah.
Yes, you are.
Yes, I was a little. I was interested in the movie, but bored at the same time. So
Honestly,
leave it at that.
same.
This
Like,
was
it
my
wasn't terrible.
Yeah. So this was my second time seeing it. So like I kind of knew the quote unquote twist and everything, how it was kind of going to go. And yeah, I'm kind of with you guys where it's like it's interesting, but also it is a little boring at times.
Yeah.
But I don't necessarily need an action-packed movie.
Well,
That's
it's just
fair. I
definitely
like
a
that with
departure
books.
from a lot of movies that we've been recently watching.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
compare this to
Remember-
Transformers. It's such a different
Jeez.
experience.
Yeah. You guys remember you helped me pick this one. I gave you 2 choices.
That is true.
And the other one is very action-packed.
And this one was I've never seen it, so
Yeah. Well, I don't think you had seen either of the 2 I was going to suggest.
yeah.
But yeah.
I didn't mind having a bit more of a dramatic movie.
Yeah.
Especially after all the bombastic movies we've been watching, with tons of action and tons of fast scenes. Lots of comedy back and forth. I didn't mind slowing it down a little bit and getting invested in the world that they were creating in this movie. I thought I was very immersed with it for probably about 90% of the movie. I was very much immersed and invested in the movie.
Yeah, and I don't remember what I was gonna say. I just looked up actually who the director was, what movie he's done. I was like, oh, okay, now it makes sense.
Yeah, Danny Boy, he's got a pretty good filmography attached to his name. Of course,
Blade Runner
he did both of the Dune
2049.
movies. Yeah, he did the Blade Runner.
And then this, and then both Dune movies.
Mm-hmm.
So he's got a pretty good repertoire so far, and there's a lot of movies I haven't seen from him. But I mean, let me just read the premise of one of them real quick. yeah, kind of interesting. You know, like he's always got something. I think the one thing that sets Villeneuve apart from most of your schlocky kind of directors. Not saying that he's schlocky, but just like the stuff we've been watching recently with Independence Day and Transformers. His cinematography is on point.
Yeah.
I think of any scene from Dune, it's just the most beautiful shot you've ever seen. And Blade Runner also, like, there's so many moments in Blade Runner 2045 that's just like, that is the most perfect framing and cinematography I've ever seen. And this movie also does a really good idea of showing scale and showing, it's not just like shot, reverse shot, type of things when people are having conversations. It's just, there's a lot more thought put into a movie like this than something like Transformers or Independence Day.
Yeah, for sure.
Which I appreciate. I you know me. I like my artsy stuff.
Yeah. Me too. Who wrote this? Was it him? Eric Heiser.
Eric Andre?
Eric Heiser. Original writer.
I did think it was weird when the desk exploded in the movie.
Yeah. I guess it was a book first.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Adapted screenplay.
Yeah. So I think at this point we can go over the again, quote unquote twist. I don't know if I'd consider it a twist. It was just more of a revelation that the way the movie started with her, like, they do a really good job, like, kind of making her seem like her daughter dies, and like you feel like, oh, this is like a year or two later after that.
Mm-hmm.
And then again, you slowly realize she's starting seeing these things and she doesn't know what it is, and it's like, oh, she's seeing her future now.
Yeah, I thought that was very smart how they drip fed you those scenes, and you at first you think, oh, it's just like she's going kind of crazy because she's been interacting with the aliens and she's seeing the flashbacks, and then you slowly start to realize, oh, she's actually seeing the future, huh? And then of course they eventually go full blast with it at the end, but I thought that was a very interesting way of doing the storytelling, because unlike a movie like Dunkirk that kind of does the same thing where it mixes scenes back and forth from present to past, it feels so natural in this one, simply because you could easily believe that everything that happened at the start of the movie was at the start of the movie. It's not like it's super obvious that it's in the future. Like, she doesn't look 80 years old, or Jeremy Renner isn't there as the dad. It's done very nice with a light touch. It really is. And then you understand why Ian wasn't around for his daughter, because she told him that she was gonna die of cancer and stuff. It's just one of those things that's it's got a nice loop to it, I guess, which is of course the language of the aliens.
Yeah. No, I thought that it comes together really well. And in my mind, I was thinking, because like at one point she's like, I just realized why my husband left me. He's like, oh, you were married? And then, they get married. And he's going to find out, wait, you were never married. What did you mean that one time you said, I understand when my husband left me?
Yeah.
Very Inception-y.
Yeah.
Yeah, it does have a bit of an Inception vibe.
Yeah. And I do really, I like the whole like message. Like, if you know what's going to happen, like, would you change anything? So, I mean, she easily could have tried to, I don't know, if in this movie it kind of sounds like time is, you can't change time. So, but I guess she could have tried to change it, be like, well, I'm not going to marry this guy. I'm going to marry someone else and have a healthy kid.
That's never a guarantee either.
Yeah, it's true. It's not.
Right. And who knows if her visions would have changed or what.
But I do really like the whole, like, the Chinese general coming to her at the party to be like, you called me. And she's like, what? Oh. And, you slowly realize, as she's seeing this in the past, like going, oh, I have to do this now, kind of thing. I really liked that. I thought it was well done.
Yeah, I thought it was all right. I wasn't in love with how that section took place, but I thought it was all right. It was a bit weird. If I rewatched it, I probably wouldn't feel so off put by it. But yeah, like I said, it was all right. I didn't hate it, but
Yeah.
I think it could have been done a little bit better.
Fair.
Agreed.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, I knew it was coming, which I think, may have softened. But I remember really liking it the first time too. So I'm going like, oh, it all comes together now. I like that. Which I do always like it when a story like has these things that are just kind of floating around nebulously, and you're like, what is the point of this? And then it all comes together, and you're like, oh. Like obviously, like Inception is a good example of that. You know, it's got a bunch of little things that you're like, what? What is this? Oh, okay.
I guess maybe I would have been more on board if they had spaced that out a little bit, because where it is, it's just all kind of clumped together at the end, where she's going through all the different things. It would have been interesting. I guess narratively, it probably wouldn't have been like the impact of like understanding that she's seeing the past and present mixing together. The future mixing with the present. I guess narratively, it would have been weird if she had, met the general of the Chinese People's Republic or whatever. I guess it wouldn't. I would have maybe taken away from the big reveal, but I feel like they could have either did a little bit differently or space it out a little bit with the visions, or something. Because I just didn't like it all being clumped together in that one section.
For sure. Yeah, and obviously, trying to make it a reveal at the end makes that difficult to space out for sure. But
in the end, I didn't hate it.
But the ending.
Yeah.
What was that?
Well, I said in the end, I didn't hate it, but I still.
Okay.
I was like, it's fine. I just wish it was done a little bit differently.
Fair. Well, any other thoughts from anybody?
I don't think so.
I think that they could have had Colonel Weber be a little bit more active in the later part of the movie. I felt like he was also kind of sidelined once shit started hitting the fan. He just didn't really have anything to do. Because he was such a prevalent character at the beginning, and I was really enjoying the performance. And all of a sudden, it was like, well, he's sidelined.
Well, I mean, they do a good job of like, because they kind of get separated because like the army was like all about like, oh, we gotta go, we're done with this, So I think that's maybe why. I don't know.
Yeah, probably.
It would have been nice if he was like trying to get them to stay. You get scenes of like him arguing with
superiors.
Whoever.
Yeah, that was something where it's just like you assume these higher ups are seeing all the footage. They're recording everything.
Right.
So it's like, why are they like, oh no, they're trying to kill us? It's like you're seeing the same thing that she's seeing, and she's like, yeah, they're not dangerous.
Yeah. Yeah, just because it's interpreted as use weapon. I mean, what's your purpose here? Use weapon. It's like, well, maybe we should go back and say, can you expand on that?
Right. Which is what she wanted to do.
Right.
And they're like, well, no, it's too late now. It's like, is it though? Is it? Yeah, that part was a little.
Yeah, a little silly.
Yeah. Like, I get you want, they felt like they were trying to they were trying to create tension, but it felt kind of like a forced tension where it's like, this wouldn't necessarily be a high stakes.
Right.
But also it's our government, so, they could easily handle it poorly, so. I did one final thought for me. Did anyone else think that the CIA guy kind of looked a little bit like Joaquin Phoenix? Like, not exactly, but kind of.
I can see where you would think that. I didn't think it at the time when I watched it, but I see it. I see it.
Yeah. Like the whole time I was like, is it Joaquin Phoenix or not? I don't think it is, but it could be because I've seen him in other movies where like they just do like some weird makeup stuff on him that makes him look like like way different. Where you're just like, oh, okay, yeah, I guess he does. I mean, he can look like that.
I feel like they would have said his name, like they would have put it in the movie somewhere.
Yeah. That, which is why I didn't think it was him, because like he would have been listed,
Yeah.
and he definitely wasn't.
Yeah, the face is too wide. Joaquin Phoenix has a very slim face.
But yeah, that was my last thought. Was just like I just wanted to know did anyone else think it kind of looks like Joaquin Phoenix. I know it's not, but
If it was Joaquin Phoenix, he might have been Joaquin away with an Oscar for his performance. Hey. All right, that's the podcast. All right.
Yeah.
Well, we gotta do our final thoughts and all that.
Yeah, I guess start us off unless someone else has anything they want to bring up real quick. Or
Oh, that's
not
right.
quick,
I do
doesn't matter.
final thoughts first. All right. Overall, it's a nice movie. It's an enjoyable movie. Yeah, it's a little slow at parts, but I mean, it's got a really good soundtrack, as I mentioned from the beginning. I think everyone's performances were great. Besides, like I said, the bomb guy. But yeah. Overall story, I think, is really good. With some minor hiccups here and there, where you're just like, that doesn't make sense, or okay, like what's the phrase? The audience's something disbelief.
Suspension
I don't remember
of
now.
disbelief?
Huh?
Suspension of disbelief?
Yeah. The suspension disbelief was, some movies you have that and you're just like, oh, okay, I get it. This one, while I was trying to take itself too serious, like more grounded in reality, there was some of those moments where it's like, no, you didn't earn that. It's like I can accept that aliens landed, but that a military guy suddenly wants to blow him up, even though he's there every day knowing what's going on. Why is he going to believe some conspiracy theorist who doesn't know what's going on? It didn't make sense. But yeah, overall, it was fun. I liked the little revelation twist, whatever. That she kind of now sees things in circular time, I guess. So overall, I enjoyed it. I'd give it a 3.5 out of 5.
It's a lot lower than I was anticipating.
Yeah, me too.
It makes it.
Not gonna lie.
No, it was good, but it's not one I'd necessarily go out of my way to watch, like, over and over again or anything. Like, it'd be one that's like, I'd watch it if it's on, but man, it was fun. It was good. 3.5.
Okay. I'm shooketh.
You shook it?
I'm shooketh.
Oh no. I'm sorry. Well, I can give it higher just for you, Ray, if you want.
I mean, no, but
No, we're not gonna have persuasion going on.
I guess is it me?
It's
Is it-
you.
Yeah.
is it- oh my word!
All right, pause Cal's stream for a second.
Oh, shut up! I didn't say anything until I saw Greedy in there too.
Ah,
This movie I enjoyed it more than I anticipated enjoying it. Like I don't like very anxiety inducing movies, and I was like anticipating this to be extremely anxiety inducing. Like the one with Sandra Bullock.
Gravity.
Walks?
Yep.
Gravity.
That movie, I hate it. Like it, and I was anticipating that, and I didn't get that, so that was a positive, outlook on it. It was terribly sad, and I had a very bad weekend last weekend and a very bad week last week. So like, this about killed me, at least the beginning of it. But overall, wasn't terrible. I would watch it again. Just to get things that I might have missed, but I'm gonna give it a 3 out of 5, which is why I was surprised that his was so low. So
5 is not that low, though.
what?
3.5 is not that low.
I guess.
I mean, that's,
3.5 is like average.
yeah, 3 is average. 3.5 is slightly above
Yeah,
average.
it's above.
Yeah, I guess.
Well, okay. Yeah, I enjoyed this one. It's not my favorite Alien movie ever, but I definitely was into it throughout most of it. There were some parts that I brand as silly that didn't really make a lot of sense, as we already talked about. Acting was on point. Cinematography was great. Script was well done. Acting was good. I guess I liked it more than Tay. I'm giving it a 4 out of 5.
Wow.
Wow.
I am shooketh.
Again.
Again.
Ray can only take so much shaking, guys.
Yeah. Like I was. It's a good like story movie. It's interesting. Like I wasn't interested in. I mean, I was interested in it, but I was also bored at times. It was very interesting. Like I said, some of the scenes I know there was a little different, in most of them, but it just felt like the same to me. But the story was good. I really enjoyed the story. Acting was pretty good as well. Cinematography was good. I'm also gonna give it a 3 out of 5.
Okie dokie. Before Ray gives her recommendation, just as a reminder, the fan vote will be happening the weekend that this podcast uploads. If you want to vote on any of these 4 movies, make sure you do that in the Discord link in the description. The movies were The Fifth Element, The Terminator, Multiplicity, and Hard Boiled. If you want to if you want us to talk about any of those movies, make sure you vote for the one that you want in the Discord. Ray,
That's
what
the-
have you? Hello?
Before Ray, that's the first Terminator movie, right? They haven't remade a Terminator movie and just called it The Terminator, right?
No, that is the
No.
the first one, yeah.
Okay, just
that
making
movie.
sure because you never know these days.
Terminator has been pretty good at numbering and or subtitling their movies.
For sure, but
Terminator Genesis,
I could see
Terminator
them doing a
Salvation.
yeah, I could see them doing a reboot and just adding like the first one's actually just called Terminator, and then they're like, now it's The Terminator,
Well,
kind of like Suicide Squad and The Suicide Squad.
well, I would rather people forget that there is just a regular Suicide Squad movie because the Suicide Squad is 10
better,
million times better than Suicide Squad. In terms of the Terminator, if they were gonna do like a Terminator reboot, they probably would have done it with Genesis because that's the one that they had to like AI insert young Arnold Schwarzenegger into the movie and redo some scenes.
Yeah.
I feel like if there was any movie that they were gonna do just Terminator or the Terminator, it would have been that one.
Yeah. Well, I mean, if they rebooted it, it wouldn't have Arnie in it. They would get some other young tough guy.
Yeah, but that would be blasphemy, and they'd go to hell.
Agree, but it that it is the thing Hollywood does. So.
Yeah, well,
anyways,
maybe in 25 years you'll prove me wrong, but I don't think they could reboot something like the Terminator movies. But
we'll see.
see.
Go ahead, Ray.
Okay, you guys are ready for my movie?
Yes.
All the
Yeah.
day.
All right. So, this is in honor of Twisters coming out. So I'm selecting Twister.
Hell
And-
yeah.
All right.
really
I
like
don't
this
have to rewatch this one because I just watched it last week.
No, you have to. Don't pull a callus.
No, Callus is
Callus was like
it's
a
like
year
6
ago.
months.
I
I watched
yeah,
it
yes.
last year. Does that count?
I
We
watched
have
It was
said-
longer than that.
Yeah.
But you guys, this is how it starts. It starts with
Yeah.
a week.
Hey,
and
no,
then it's 2
we have said that the rule is if you've watched it in the last 6 months, you don't have to rewatch
Yeah,
it.
I watched it on
Yeah.
July 19th, and then I watched Twisters on July 20th.
Ooh.
Oh, so you've
I
already seen
really
the
want to
sequel.
see Twisters,
I have,
so
yeah.
don't spoil it.
Okay.
Okay.
Well, you might
So-
want to watch it before the next episode.
That is true. That is true. Okay, yay! I get to go see the movie.
All right. Tell us
Okay.
tell us the things we need to know.
All right. 2 storm chasers are on the brink of divorce, and they must work together to create an advanced weather alert system by putting themselves in the crosshairs of extremely violent tornadoes. Director, I think it's Jan DeBon. Writers Michael Crichton, Anne Marie Martin. Stars Helen Hunt, Bill Paxton, and Jamie Gertz. So there we go. I'm so pumped to watch this again. I watched it, I think, 2 years ago for the first time, and
Oh,
I really liked it. So yeah, I'm excited to watch it again.
I don't know if I've seen this movie. Like I've seen this movie, but it's been so long. Like I don't think I've seen it in the last 20 years.
That's
Yeah, I
fair.
meant to go or watch the first one again before seeing the second, and just never did. But I seen the second. Now I get to rewatch the first. Like, come on.
Yay! I am gonna watch the second one before our next podcast because I want to compare and contrast like CGI and stuff.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Ta-da!
So Jay, you have to do the same. No, I'm kidding.
Yeah,
We have
all
two-part
right.
feature.
Okay, I'll see what I can do.
Yeah, got your week time matinee, for $5. If it's still in theaters
Yeah.
around you.
Tuesdays.
Mondays. Oh, Tuesday.
Well, if I don't see it tonight, it's probably already out of theaters.
Oh.
Yeah.
Run, Tay!
I swear, movies are getting out of theaters so fast lately.
Is this
Well.
seriously out of theaters already?
No, it's probably not. But
I hope not.
It
I'm gonna
came
have to
out.
check.
Although
It
with
came out last
Deadpool coming
week.
out, you never know.
Yeah, if it came out last week, it's probably got another 2-3 weeks left in the theaters.
All right.
2 of those
$5
weeks
movie
being
night.
the dollar theater.
I'm sure it'll be around. The Twisters was the summer blockbuster of this year, so I'm sure it'll be around for a little while.
No, Inside Out wasn't too. It's the
No, and it's the trend. Movies that just do not stay in theaters as long anymore, and now so they can immediately because people aren't going to the theaters as much, so they just quickly pump it out so people can go buy it.
sad.
It sucks because I love watching movies in theaters. Like, when you have the right
Me
audience
too.
and you have the right setting. It's
Yeah.
like-
Well, like there's been so many movies I was like, oh yeah, I do want to see that, and then just like I can't get around to it right away, and then it's gone. It's like, oh well, okay, I guess I'll wait till it's on streaming somewhere.
Boo.
yeah.
I mean that happened with the Godzilla Kong movie, that the most recent one, and a few others. So yeah, hopefully, go see it sooner rather than later if you want to watch it in theaters.
Yeah.
Man.
But, yeah.
Ta-da.
Good pick. Good pick.
Thank you.
And if you want to check out the movie, it's on Amazon, Hulu. I'm sorry, not Hulu. Max.
I'm sorry, I forgot about that.
Max?
Yeah, Max.
YouTube, and etc.
Oh, good. I have Max. That means I can watch it for free.
There you go.
Hooray.
Maybe by the
Huzzah.
time that you watch this movie, the second one will be on there. I don't know.
Probably.
All right. Well, if you don't want to be spoiled, if you want to join the conversation for Twister, it sounds like we might be touching on Twisters as well if everyone watches it. Make sure you watch at least Twister before the next episode, which will air in 2 weeks from this one. We'll reconvene and talk about it.
Be-doop.
Does anyone have any small recommendations for this episode?
I do. Vote on our recommendation or on our van vote.
Oh, okay.
Adam?
Nice.
I thought you were just going to also say just vote in general.
Vote.
No, we don't get political here.
Thank God. Oh, the Olympics. The Olympics have been fun to watch.
Oh, yeah. If you haven't watched it, watch Gojira's opening for the Olympics.
Oh yeah.
Brilliant
I
metal
have-
performance.
I have watched that, and it was that part. Just that.
was
That
intense.
is the only thing from the Olympics I have seen. Gojira's opening song.
Same here. I don't
That's the only thing you need to say. Yeah.
like. I don't
Yep.
mind Lady Gaga, but I'm not going to watch her performance. And whoever
Yeah.
the other one was, Celine Dion or whatever.
I
Celine
don't
Dion,
care.
yeah.
I
But
don't.
Gojira though, oh yeah, I saw we saw, well, I guess Greedy wasn't there. I saw Gojira live with Mastodon last year. Oh, it was so good. It was such a good performance. They are one of my favorite metal bands. French natives, if you didn't know. But not.
I figured they were
Yeah.
French natives if they were doing the opening ceremonies.
So that's Tay's recommendation is to watch the opening ceremony.
No. That was Greedy's.
Oh, I'm sorry, that was Greedy's. I apologize.
No, I said vote.
That's
Alright.
true. You did say.
It was
Who said-
everyone's recommendation.
Yeah.
My
don't-
recommendation, small recommendation, I actually just watched this last night. If you haven't watched it in a while, rewatch Saw of 2004.
Ugh.
No, thank you.
It's
Why?
Still,
I've never seen it, and I don't plan to ever see it until it gets picked for this podcast. At which
I don't
point,
know why. What's wrong with? I mean, the first Saw is like the most tame out of all of them, honestly.
yeah, I don't
That
know.
is true. And I laughed at the end of it.
Well, yeah, the acting leaves a bit to be desired. There's plenty of line deliveries that are just like really bizarrely funny.
Yeah.
But the concept of it is really good. I enjoyed the whole experience again. I've seen this one like 2 or so times before, and yeah, it's a fun experience. The editing is kind of crazy. Like the scene transitions are kind of go pretty hard. The whole all the twists and turns you go through. But yeah, like the one thing that really leaves really needed to be improved was the acting. It was pretty bad at times, and it never really improved throughout the rest of the Saw series. But Saw 1 is a classic, and I do. I mean, I do. If you're gonna watch any Saw movie, at least watch the first one. You know?
I wasn't planning on watching any Saw movies, so.
I don't know why.
But I'll keep that in mind.
It's a thought provoking, and I'm not gonna go that deep. It's just a fun movie to watch. It's just fun. It doesn't really have
I
any
know the
gross
premise,
out stuff either. I mean, it barely even shows blood or anything like that. It's actually quite tame in terms of like the other Saw movies, because a lot of people look at these at the Saw movies and they're like, oh, it's torture porn, it's blah 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 blah. Saw 1 barely had anything in terms of like torture porn. Like you don't even see him cut his leg off. Like it just kind of happens.
I'll say, isn't the cover just someone's leg on?
Yeah, but the funny thing is,
Yeah.
it's not even in the movie. Like there's no.
Interesting.
You don't even. I don't think you even see his leg cut off in the entire. Like there was such a low budget for this movie too. It's very impressive just how much they did with such a low budget too. I think it's a movie you can appreciate, and I think that don't be turned off by the fact that the later movies are just gore left and right, because this one really isn't. Like there's maybe 1 or 2 scenes where it's like, oh, that's gory, or that's pretty, crazy, in terms of like mutilation. But other than that, it's a pretty intense and fun time. So, But
well,
you're safe in knowing that I'm probably not going to recommend it since I just watched it. So
good. My small recommendation. So last night I was just scrolling through Twitter, like Reels or whatever Twitter's equivalent is, and somebody, I don't know who, just had the full-length movie of The Incredibles posted, and I ended up watching it because I was like, sure, why not?
Nice.
Yeah,
It's still a fun movie. So
Yeah, there's a channel that does that. There was Deadpool on today. I was like, all right.
yeah, just they're up as long as until they get taken down, I'm sure. But that's the first time I've come across a full-length movie on Twitter, and it's like, oh, okay, cool.
yeah, it's been around for a while now, especially with like people were doing with like the Shrek movies at one point. And I remember someone was like, "Fuck it, here's the entire Shrek movie," And it's like, okay,
Yeah,
And
like
then-
I've seen it
my
on
favorite
YouTube.
is
well, it's funny because it takes a while from them to get taken down. Like the movies are up for like days before they're taken down.
Well, I'm sure, because I
It's-
mean,
it's crazy.
Twitter runs so poorly at this point; it's not surprising.
Well, yeah.
But it was still a good movie. It still holds up pretty well. That's my small recommendation. If you feel like watching a Pixar movie, go watch Incredibles.
Okay.
Nice.
Not a lot of gore in that one.
No, not really. There is a skeleton of a man though, so that's as gory as it gets.
Well, the one guy
Also-
gets his cape stuck in the jet engine. That's
Yeah, so actually, no, that you see several people get killed by capes. Also, Dash kills several people. Like, not he doesn't necessarily kill them, but he is definitely the cause of their death.
okay. More violent than Saw, honestly.
Yeah, it's pretty violent. Still fun though.
Okay. Well, thank you everyone for listening to this episode of Film Freaks with a Z. If you feel like it, leave a like on the video or rate us on Spotify or leave a review on Apple Podcasts. We would greatly appreciate that. It does help the podcast grow. Yeah, make sure you tune in 2 weeks for Twister. I am Yemmy the Ferret, and I've been here with...
Sweetie Waffles.
Taymation.
Ray positivity.
And this has been Film Freaks with a Z, the podcast about movies. Thank you for listening. Bye-bye.
See ya.
Bye.
Bye.